Welcome to the Gentleman's Guide to Gaming. Jumpstarts! Not jump scares, jump starts. Jump starts, like quick starts, starter adventures, ways to get into RPGs in a very simple, easy to understand way. A simple scenario, a simple rule set, some characters that you can play straight out of the book. What can be a finer way of introducing people into the role-playing game hobby? Now, the reason I'm making this video is twofold. One, I'm always interested in your opinions, and a lot of my videos lately have been me talking at you and not me asking for your opinions. And so this is one of those opinion videos where I really want people in the comments letting me know what they think. That first reason, though. The first reason I'm making this video is in celebration and in announcement. You see, over at Onyx Path Publishing, the company I do the majority of my work for, we are doing a crowdfunding campaign that's launching on the 21st of April 2026 for the Curseborn Jumpstart. The Curseborn RPG, our RPG of urban horror that we have made many videos about over on this YouTube channel at this point. I'm sure you've seen a few guides to the accursed by now. I hope so. I hope you haven't just skipped them in favour of other games. Well, anyway, the Curseborn RPG has been out for a little while now, and we often hear people saying that they want an easy way of getting into the game. They want a starter adventure, they want their starter characters, they want their streamlined rule set. Well, as of the 21st of April, they can get that very thing, because we are crowdfunding the Wolf You Feed, which is our Curseborn Jumpstart adventure. You can back it over on BackerKit. I will post a video description. Hang on, I'll post a link in the video description below so that you can go over there and either sign up to get notified when the campaign goes live, or if you're watching this after the campaign is already live, you can click on that link and back the book. Doing this helps the book end up in print next to the core book in stores. So this isn't just going to be a book that's available on Drive-Thru RPG like a lot of our source books. We want to do this in such a way that we get a traditional print run of our Jumpstart, which is a very new thing for us. We don't usually do this for source books. So that's point one. Point two, however, is a more general query. You know, I was reading through the Curseborn Jumpstart and really enjoying the work of the author, Kim Godwin. She has a fantastic mind for adventures. She's written several of them for games such as The World Below, which is always fantastic. I love it when people write things for The World Below. And Kim has been a great writer for Onyx Path, and someone I've had a lot of pleasure working with over the years. And she really gets a taste for what is horrific, what is rebellious and anarchic, what is magical and wondrous, that lovely liminal line between urban fantasy and urban horror that exists in Curseborn. I think this starter adventure is a great way that explores both. But what I really wanted to know from all of you fine people is, what are your favourite starter adventures? Your starter adventures, your starter box sets, your jump starts, your quick starts, your ash cans, your on-ramps. The ways you got into RPGs. And maybe you got into them, maybe you got into a game via a non-traditional method. You know, Vampire the Masquerade started out with various small adventures like Blood Bond, like the various Gary stories, Ashes to Ashes, and so forth. You had Forged in Steel, of course, is the most famous one. You may not have heard of it, but it was available with the Vampire the Masquerade. I want to say, I think it came out in first edition for Vampire the Masquerade, because it was Forged in Steel that ultimately led to Chicago by Night. Now, that was a very standard kind of starter adventure. It introduced you to the power politics of a game like Vampire. You've got your Bruja, you've got your Toreador, Anarch versus Camarilla, Decadence versus, Decadent, Age, crusty and aristocratic versus rebellious but without much of a cause. Introduce you to a whole slew of clans, some of the characters of which were stereotypes, some, however, were nicely breaking the mold before the mold was even set. But then you have other starter adventures, like the famous haunting in Call of Cthulhu with the bed, that I won't spoil anything more because it seems to always provide a great deal of pleasure for people who play that scenario for the first time. The various box sets that have been released now for Dungeons and Dragons and Pathfinder, Alien, of course, Destroyer of Worlds, Chariot of the Gods, and so on. I think I've got the box set for the Alien RPG. Where we got? There we go. We got the starter set right there, just maybe in sight of the camera. And that is likewise a very popular one. I've heard that in Cult Divinity Lost, a lot of people start with the Black Madonna, which blows my mind because that is a big campaign. And I don't know that it's well suited to starting Cult, but so many people do, and so many people fall in love with it. There's clearly no exact formula to doing this. One of my favourite jump starts is The Haunting of Albion Priory, and maybe that's a little egotistical because I developed that one. The author, Chant Evans, again, perfectly blended the horror and the satire, the comedy, the tongue-in-cheek nature of They Came From Beyond the Grave to make The Haunting of Albion Priory, which has everything from nuns and cultists to the devil himself in it. It is a perfect sort of 1970s, 80s horror exploitation movie with bright red blood, a certain amount of titillation, boobies, and sacrificial rituals. But I have heard from so many people who have played They Came From that The Haunting of Albion Priory is their favourite adventure for it. Now, that is a different question in a way. Your favourite adventure compared to your favourite jumpstart. What is the best way of getting into a game? Is it via a big campaign? Is that what works for you, the viewer? Or is your preference more to a one-shot that just introduces you to the rules and then leaves off? Slay Industries has a very good one of those for 2nd edition too. And I believe it comes with the GM screen. Just a great quick start that introduces you to the game right from the off. What makes a good jumpstart is obviously entirely subjective, and I wrote one for the Cowboy Bebop RPG, and this is something that only just occurred to me because the name of this adventure completely eludes me right now. It's something, some kind of blues, as would be appropriate in Cowboy Bebop. I'm going to find it while I rattle on. Let's see. I called my scenario Indigo Blue Fusion, and that was a great deal of fun, and again specifically built to evoke the feel of a chase scene, a heist, a shootout with hostages in the Cowboy Bebop universe. So what makes a good jumpstart? What makes a good introduction? Well, aside from the fact that I think this new adventure for Curseborn, The Wolf You Feed, covers all the beats I like, those beats tend to be, for me, something that introduces you immediately to the world without necessarily requiring you to do any greater depth of reading. Something that introduces you to the core mechanic of the game. Something that provides a spotlight scene for every single character in the group. Everyone will get a chance to do something. So if you've got an action man, there has to be action. If you've got a thinker, there has to be a mystery. If you've got a socialite, you have to have a scene that you need to negotiate or intimidate your way through, that kind of thing. So by the end of the adventure, everyone feels like they've achieved something. So you need to be able to sell the game while also selling agency for the players, so that at the end of it, people will come away with either, I really felt like I did something, or I really fell in love with the game, or ideally, both of those things at the same time. That's what we strove for, if that's a word, with The Haunting of Albion Priory. That's definitely what I find in the Curseborn Jumpstart, which, as I say, is crowdfunding as of tomorrow. But what is it that attracts you to a starter adventure? More accurately, Which starter adventure really made you fall in love with a campaign setting, a game, a rule system? That would interest me even more, because I'm kind of looking for the unusual ones alongside the traditional ones. I imagine that people are going to say things like Chariots of the Gods for Alien, because that is a really popular starter box set that's come out in recent memory. But who here watching now got into an RPG by playing, let's say, Desert of Desolation for AD&D, and that was their first introduction to Dungeons and Dragons, this mega campaign. Who here maybe got into Vampire the Masquerade by playing the Giovanni Chronicles, which again, a major campaign, which is, as written, a pretty straitjacketed campaign. Though I argue, as I always argue, that the Giovanni Chronicles is a fantastic foundation that you need to build upon, much like many of the Vampire the Masquerade modules. Maybe you got into adventure paths via things like the Shackled City, or the other ones that were published in Dragon and Dungeon, or maybe you got into these things via the later editions through Pathfinder and such. Maybe you got into Call of Cthulhu via Masks of Nyarlathotep. That would be a big one. I got into Call of Cthulhu. This is the first published adventure I ever played was Ruins of Myth-Drannor for Dungeons and Dragons. And I don't know that that's what sold me on D&D. I know that the very first published adventure that I played that absolutely sold me on a game was Shadows of Yog-Sothoth for Call of Cthulhu. Shadows of Yog-Sothoth has an awful lot of flaws. I may make a video on it at some point. It's the kind of adventure campaign that I would love to revise one day officially, but who knows if that opportunity will ever rear its head. It's the fact that there are so many scary moments, and maybe in part due to the way the Keeper ran it. Lovely guy by the name of Mo, who was fantastic GM. He really sold the setting, and I didn't get into Shadows of Yog-Sothoth at the very start. I joined the group when the investigators had reached the small Scottish town of Cannock, where everything is very, well, Innsmouth, but in Scotland, I suppose, as you don't know who to trust anywhere in Cannock, and that's a lot of fun to me. I like the paranoia. It just absolutely won me over for Call of Cthulhu and resulted in a long love affair that has never really ended. I don't think I'd even heard of Call of Cthulhu before I played it, which may have even helped. And I ended up running Shadows of Yog-Sothoth for Red Moon Role-Playing. It is a Patreon exclusive campaign. We ran it all the way from beginning to end with some adjustments because, again, as a written campaign, it doesn't quite hang together. It's a series of kind of separate modules, and spoilers, Yog-Sothoth doesn't even show up in the campaign as written. I made some changes there, but certainly for the first few adventures in Shadows of Yog-Sothoth, we adhere to the campaign as written. And I'd love it if people check it out. If you have checked it out over on Red Moon Roleplaying's Patreon, I'd love to hear what you think. Anyway, what is your favourite jumpstart? What is required in a jumpstart to get you into a game? What adventure, published or otherwise, got you into an RPG? And will you be picking up the Curseborn Jumpstart? I really hope you will. I'd love to see a traditionally printed version in stores next to the core rulebook. Who knows, we might be able to ship them both at the same time because, spoilers, the Jumpstart is already fully written and all of the art is already in. That's right, this isn't going to be a book you're going to be hanging around on. That's the good thing about being able to crowdfund smaller source books. Anyway, I'll leave you with those questions because I really want to hear your thoughts or see them in print. Please let me know in the comments below. Back us on BackerKits. The link is in the video description below. And I will be seeing you.